while eating yeonsojong?
This is something I couldn't say on the broadcast, but here we eat milk and cheese, so I have to pronounce it well. After eating cheese, in France it's yeonsojong.
At first, the word sounded strange, Jill.
At first when I heard it,
When I was at Jill's house, I was in Korea, but the language sounded just like ours. When I was in Bukhan, the people who lived there said the language was just like theirs.
and that's what I heard. In Bukhan.
Here they call our country Hanguk and call Bukhan Bukhan, but in Bukhan it's called Joseon.
That's right, that's how it is.
It's called Joseon because it's Joseon?
People like us too.
That's what I thought. Hello everyone, this is Lee-Cherun from NK Television. Today we are going to talk about Ju Chang-yang's case. Hello, it's nice to meet you. I may be a little unfamiliar, but our viewers might not know me.
So, to our viewers,
Let me introduce myself.
yes, hello, nice to meet you. It's been a while since I greeted you. I'm Ju Chang-yang Lee-Jae. In the past, I did some broadcasting activities as well.
Recently I've been quiet.
Then suddenly came out and surprised everyone.
Jong-hee's story is
함경북기도 Eje
Cheongjin.
is a big city, really big.
Hanggu City, it's bustling.
It's been 10 years now.
This is Dolso's family, everyone.
If it's 10 years,
There are a lot of people from Cheongjin here, really a lot.
That's right,
I'm Lee Jae-buk-cheong.
You see,
Compared to the countryside, Cheongjin is bustling with people even in the early morning.
it's called Osandong in Cheongjin.
Did you say something and then come to Osan?
I said I was coming from Cheongjin and I imagined myself as a city woman, but even though I was born in the city, my personality is that of a country girl. When there wasn't enough food at the cafeteria, my family and I would eat corn porridge together.
I went to Cheongjin.
From Hamhung to Sinbon?
I live there. It's called Bayupji.
That's right.
So yeonsojong.
When you eat it,
It's something I haven't heard on the broadcast, but
here, friendship and honesty.
every day you have to eat well, you have to take care of your health, drink cow's milk, but here it's goat's milk. So, more firmly,
No, but my parents also tried not to get sick a lot.
they even worked extra jobs.
They even did farming.
So in the beginning,
After arriving, I began listening to sacred music. Initially, I thought it was like Korean radio, but then realized it was different. I heard the radio from the city elsewhere.
Toward the national border.
As I got closer and closer, I realized the radio signal was getting clearer.
so cabeça.
Back then, there were numerous social education broadcasts, radio dramas, main news programs, as well as the national movement broadcast and Christian radio.
Every day, it's a new world.
Very quietly and secretly,
The whole family.
I heard it a lot.
Honestly, it was my first time hearing things like that, really.
Yes.
But in North Korea, after graduating from school, you either get assigned a job, or if not, you get assigned a job after working for a while.
In the north, after graduating from high school, there were times when I became a laborer. About my father,
I recently worked at the same place as my father.
that's how it happened naturally.
That's just how life was.
It's not like I had a lot of special money or anything. Then my dad passed away.
He passed away suddenly, and my mom and I...
Both of us defected from North Korea.
After that, we were left behind, but...
My father supported us and...
You see? So,
No, children from the orphanage school are different. Not just those from single-parent families.
is the school a university?
Yakkan Jeonmun University.
If you look here,
It had the concept of a vocational college.
that's how it was.
While I was studying, they provided all the beauty supplies. The exam was unrelated, making it contractual. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il.
This kind of child.
Just focus on memorizing revolutionary history well. That's enough. So concentrate on committing that to memory. But English and other things are things you have to memorize. So you just pass right away. That's how it is, because you just have to memorize them.
But that's how it is for Jang Hyang-ji too, and for me as well. But in our generation, we couldn't get benefits from the actual North, so we really struggled in our generation.
Have you ever run a business in North Korea? I didn't do big business like a lot of people did, like really big businesses or various things, but I did small things here and there to make a living.
That's right. As for my parents.
Jin, they ran a business to make a living.
Me too, I was also...
Even though I was eating and living
It helped me make a living, but it was fun too.
Whether it was selling used books at the market, or if not, collecting and selling scrap, or even going to the mountains to gather wild herbs and sell them, whenever I earned money through my own efforts, that feeling was so satisfying and so enjoyable that I kept working little by little because it was fun. Even before I started my business, I had a sense of longing.
Vocational school nurse?
Even when I went to school.
Jangsa said, but even the college students in the actual room do Jangsa.
In the north, it's eating...
In order to survive, that's why even nursing schools can do business. So,
when I was in nursing school, even then, parents who had some money or foreign currency managed to get by with that. So I didn't really struggle. Before I started doing business, I was just a student living off my parents' allowance.
Coming from abroad?
People usually smoked imported cigarettes or regular ones a lot.
So genuine and imitation ones.
To distinguish between the two at the same time.
And compare them at the same time.
And do these two. So it's a bit of a personal preference.
Like a convenience store.
People can conveniently use it. Things like street stalls were often seen in the past. So I think that's why people compare it to a convenience store. And the owners of those street stalls used to work really hard, just like us Koreans.
To be honest, socks and gloves are in high demand in North Korea because people walk a lot, so socks wear out quickly. And selling socks and gloves has always been a steady business there. Gomyeong just left like that.
How did it end up tearing like that? I first heard the radio when I was in 9th grade and I was very young.
I started listening to the radio when I was 9 years old.
My whole family woke up together and everyone in the family would eat breakfast together, so it was natural for me. But I thought I had to make breakfast myself.
Actually, my father is in South Korea.
I'm sorry, the text appears to be corrupted. Korean. Please provide the correct subtext.
Next, my mother.
You were too sincere about the necessity of reunification, so you didn't want me to defect.
You made up your mind. Jeobogo.
I'm at the same school as Namgwa Book, and we're both famous for being smart. Abyoji's strict personality is similar to Namdarun's, so I thought we wouldn't get along. So I was really moved by what my father said, but at the same time I was a bit skeptical and hesitant. But what I was thankful for was that my family always supported me.
So honestly,
my mother and siblings also suffered greatly due to the situation.
It was really tough, but Korea...
And I heard that we would get healthier here, so I was really grateful and came here.
Oh, I'm Soo-myung.
I thought I wouldn't live much longer. If your mother is in the hospital, it means she's not of this world anymore.
But then...
She stayed strong and her siblings also recovered well.
Because of that.
I'm so grateful. So I kept looking at the mirror every day, and even though I didn't like what I saw, I was so grateful that I thought, even if I stay here, I can still go on.
Even if I stay in the north.
I thought there was still value in it. If I work hard and do my best, I thought we could live a good life.
So
I used to think that if I just move forward, there would be good things waiting for me, but that's not how people's hearts work.
It wasn't like that. I was disappointed.
Abaji Hyangwoo decided to leave me behind, and Abaji's mom was so heartbroken, you know, daughter.
Because they miss me so much.
So when Abaji Hyangwoo was desperately searching for his daughter, I also tried to reach out.
I am Abaji's.
Life was really tough. So now, Yeongmyeong and Malgo and Ildan Namjo Seonbu's family, Yeongmyeong and
Malgo Yeongmyeong's history and background are also important.
Without that, we just went to the south and ended up in total chaos.
That was in 2011, that's when it happened.
It was 2010 and also 2010. And then the soldiers ate the money and the families had already spent all the money, so the soldiers came back empty-handed.
So
they went over to China and were caught in China. But still, you know,
after being caught at the Buksong police station,
they were detained. Now, those so-called NGOs and humanitarian organizations and also many Christian groups are also actively involved.
And also materially.
They are providing support as well.
So,
in this case, the cats are well fed and taken care of so they don't become feral.
Ah, that's right.
It's really fortunate I'm one of those rare cases who actually got lucky. And
Jang Heng Cheol and also other special guests like Mekong River's Vietnam are...
Did Daegukin also go that way?
Did you walk too? Yes, Dalbok route is the same. Back then it was all Lee-Cherun, yes.
Taeguk, we went to Taeguk and then we crossed the Laos border. At that time, Laos was very dangerous. Laos was still in the middle of a civil war.
It was like that back then.
So how do you cross the border? Over there, the river?
So that's how it is.
Walking along the riverbank was really hard. This scenery also felt new to me at first, but as I walked along the riverbank, I realized that's why the grass grows like this.
I was told to do it, so...
I think that river is the one that goes toward the Mekong River.
Em có tình trạng.
The memory doesn't fade.
But anyway,
Rausubis
come đi đó.
continued to develop along the river.
And then...
After that, I crossed the Mekong River and I was in Myanmar territory, but I got caught. I was in Thailand, but I just couldn't understand it.
Namin issue.
I was unaware of these things at the time. China didn't recognize us as refugees back then.
Gukjong sikian taiguk.
Recognize us as refugees.
That we can go
to that place.
I wanted to show you, so...
Yogi said she would go to Korea, so the Korean fans...
So I waved the flag.
I said I would go to Korea.
I said it out loud.
So I went to Korea and experienced a lot of things. So when I went to Thailand, I got caught by the police.
Some people call it North Korea and some people call it South Korea.
I couldn't quite get it right.
There are also people who misunderstand.
That's right. Even though I didn't study English very hard, I liked it.
That's right, Yeom-chung.
I was sincere.
That's why it's different.
Anyway.
Some people were really worried at that time, but there were also people who said it was okay. So we left like that, crossed over to Taeguk, and then came to Korea. Then we all came to Incheon airport together.
Yes. In Taeguk, the government officials took care of everything for us. And actually, in Taeguk...
It was good, just...
When I went to Taeguk, I kept getting repatriated, and it was really hard, so...
I kept getting tried as a refugee.
That's right. Yes, but I had to go back again, and there was money involved. I had to keep going back and paying, and they asked for money again.
So I took the money and...
I did it, but those processes took a lot of time. It kept getting delayed.
No, it wasn't like that, and...
Even the procedures...
As if I found it.
Even the shackles were broken, and that's how I kept moving forward. Those times were really tough, but I kept thinking that this was the path to meet my family. So I always had hope and a sense of duty.
When was it? I was nervous, but I knew we had arrived in South Korea. I had heard of Incheon airport, but I didn't know much about it.
How did you feel when you arrived? Jang Young-sil, you must have seen a lot of people coming from the port, but I think there must have been different images. For me, it was just like the science fiction movies.
When I see it, it's like a time machine.
In the past, there was always that look in their eyes, as if they were looking into the future from the past, as if they were peering into a different era.
And actually...
When I was riding the flying machine, I was so excited. When I was riding the flying machine, I was a Korean dancer.
The flight attendants also
were so tall and so pretty, and I was really amazed. When I arrived at the airport, there were so many of those flight attendants and so many people, and I thought I had to say hello to everyone and be polite.
So...
The airport was so shiny, and since I had only seen makeup rooms in dramas, I was amazed by how bright the makeup room was. A lot of people said that the makeup room was really dazzling, but I thought, I guess I can even live here.
Isn't that right? The bathroom is even better than ours at home.
It's spotless. But what shocked me more was seeing a female flight attendant resting there.
I met her in the bathroom.
She observed everyone and exited. I needed to wash my hands, but the water wouldn't flow.
That's what happened. So
I did it like this, but there was no tissue, and...
So after that...
So I washed my hands and kept rubbing and rubbing, but Hyung and Uni wasn't there.
I just did this and then...
She said it would be good for me, so I touched it with my hands and rubbed it. It felt wet.
It came out.
So I put my hands on it like this too, and in front of it...
Censor.
So yes, I really listened to Korean radio a lot in North Korea, Korean dramas and movies.
When you look at it directly...
It became an education for me.
I felt like I learned it, but...
But when I actually tried it, it was more challenging than I thought, and I felt nervous and excited like this.
Me too, but the sensor that detects the movement...
달린수도 써지라.
It's like that, it's really inconvenient. But when I didn't know people around me were doing it like that, and I was washing my hands like this, and I was washing my hands, but still, no.
With me.
So, if you keep talking honestly, people start to tell the difference. I cried, got angry, fought, and even cursed at times.
What I wanted to say.
Do I really have to say it's too hard? Now, if you look at Korea, our shy people are still left in the north.
Rather than people?
I once believed South Korea and its people were beyond my reach, like an impenetrable iron fence.
But in reality?
But then, after I became a member of the National Assembly and started attending meetings, I realized things were a bit different. National Intelligence Service.
Despite the tough investigation, I was able to endure it well thanks to the support and comfort from my family, who stood by my side throughout. I first heard about the security agency from North Korea. That's how I found out. So that's why you went to Namsan, right?
Yes.
That's why I heard a lot of scary rumors.
But
Since they were parents, I was still nervous.
since they were parents,
They didn't give me any answers. They just told me to experience it for myself. So my heart was pounding with anxiety, not because I was getting scolded.
if you ask why, it's because of South Korea.
Because becoming a citizen,
Is easy or hard?
if I am honest,
No, it's not like that.
it's not like I'm being investigated or anything.
It was bright, too much.
You handled the interview so well.
Jin Sim, how did you...
Even my own daughter, who lives somewhere with my name, treats me like that.
No, but still...
You treated me so kindly and warmly that I asked myself, why is Seon Sengim being so good to me? I'm not even a Korean citizen, so why are you being so nice to me?
And so why?
Korea has many delicious things to try. I simply wanted to eat what I desired, that's all.
Inside that
It has to be a natural meal, that's why.
The teachers are cool teachers.
Over there, the teachers...
Right now, I have to be mentally stable and calm myself down a lot at this stage. There are many things I must be cautious about.
You need to rest and recover.
That's right. For me, just hearing those words makes me feel a little emotional, because those words were so warm and so comforting.
Where else can you hear such reassuring words in North Korea? If you don't eat, you won't get hungry, but it feels like you're just lying to yourself. And then, after all that, we come out into society like this in South Korea, but we have to find a job and survive, so we have to look for a job.
But how many...
Did you settle down in life? When I came to South Korea,
When I came here, I was 21, and that's when I officially became a South Korean citizen. Before that, I didn't have a stable life or a proper income. Since my parents were all in Munjo, I just went to the small house my parents received in Ogo.
all of my family.
We all had to live together, and we had to receive living expenses like that.
That's how it was.
That's how it was, but now I get an allowance. I just work at the store, help out every day, and that's all I do.
I didn't, but then...
I thought I had to do it. At that time, Namdong-seng was a very chubby Namdong-seng.
I was going to tell you.
So I searched for Albakyon Guk once, and there were a lot of things that came up, so I tried looking for it, and even tried contacting them.
Try it and see.
For about 6 months, I delivered to the actual computer center and delivered like this.
It was different, yes, and then...
After 6 months, during those 6 months, I earned about 1,000,000 won.
At the factory, it was about 1,000,000 won.
It was about 1,000,000 won just deposited into my account as basic living support. So yes, since I had family here, that's why I only got that 1,000,000 won.
That's what it was.
If I think about that 1,000,000 won, when I first started living in Korea, that 1,000,000 won was given to me, so...
First of all, it was memorable.
And I remember that because my mom went to the bank and kept the card for me, saying it was for my safety.
On the way to the bank.
He took the money and put it in the card's account for me. But I was so flustered and I didn't have any money in my hands. It felt like all the money was just numbers on the card, like it wasn't really mine.
Is that right? So...
Like a fool, I just went and paid for it, then came home and regretted it. So I called again and got it back.
So I went out.
I found all the money in cash.
So,
Now thump thump.
go ahead and hit it.
So Suryan left, and even though I could have gone to Asurakdong, I just let it go and stayed there. But then, when Abba opened the door and came back,
He said, eat quickly.
so with that in mind, I thought, in Korea, even cards can be used like this, and you can even get a new one. I was grateful for those things, and that's why I was able to endure the financial difficulties. After about 6 months, Abba finally opened up to me. So I started looking for part-time jobs.
I tried to go.
When I called, the boss sounded really scary. Back then, I was so nervous that I just hung up right away.
Why did you hide it?
I didn't want to hide it, but I just couldn't help it.
Even my own words.
I couldn't do it well, and when I lied, I felt like everyone could tell, so I just ended up being quiet and not saying anything. I didn't know if it was because I was shy or just didn't know what to say, so I just stayed still. I sat quietly beside Gadani and waited.
So I did.
So I went there, and the boss was so tall.
I just did it, but what?
It was like a cottage down there.
It was a small bar, so...
If you want, you can just find another job and work hard and be honest, and you can make a living like this. Ah, that's why.
Moya Yuyang.
Over there, from that side.
Because that's what you do every day.
Even if you don't know, still.
I went to find it.
I also went that way.
I missed you.
But the money is new, so
Just take it. That's why.
So, even just looking at it, it's really beautiful.
Where did this innocence come from?
Why? Even in China.
Where did you see it? Just right there on the street.
I just got on the next train and came. That's why I'm so late.
Because that's how it is.
We can communicate a little with words, and we can communicate with language, but our hearts are a bit awkward.
But there's no empathy.
So I told myself to go and get along well, to try to get along, but honestly, it's not that easy.
I was speechless. So,
After that, I began searching for a new job, which is when I discovered Extra Alba.
Well, at first I didn't know anything and I just thought about the money.
The thing I found,
It was a ghost house, but the rent was so cheap that I moved in, and even the rooftop.
the clothes didn't match at all, and now I can't even talk to them.
We can't even communicate. And then
Back then, I really couldn't do it well.
I couldn't find it, and then
I knew it, and then I found out about Extra Alba.
go John.
It was also too tiring.
During that time,
The waiting time was too long, so I was nervous, but when I saw the actors, I somehow found Alva, like from Extra, and just sat next to Alva. But then, while I was waiting, I waited a long time, even after arriving. It was tiring despite being paid for the waiting time.
so that's why.
So I don't do it, and since I'm not really good at talking, I try to avoid places where I have to talk as much as possible.
The place I found.
That was it, and then I thought I wouldn't be able to do it again next time. So next time, I decided to just quit. I didn't know Yosu Expo very well, but
I did a lot of different jobs.
that's right. There was a big rubber tree in the motel room.
At that time, my aunt,
So while we were using that room, Yosu Expo was right nearby.
Just across the street.
When you give snacks to kids, they react enthusiastically.
hey, that's right.
When I did that, I made money. In the first month, I received 1.8 million won in cash, and then the right amount after that.
It's incredibly difficult to put into words.
That's how much I liked it, really. So while I was doing that, I realized for the first time how directly the Korean people express their emotions. This is not it. So I worked there for a while, and then I came up to Korea. After that, I worked at a place called Alba, like a cafe or a coffee shop.
The very first monthly wage I received was 1.8 million won. How did I use that money? I didn't really use it.
It was just like money.
I didn't spend it. I just used it for transportation.
That was just my allowance, so I tried to save that money as much as possible. So I only used it for transportation, and I had to spend it as simply as I could.
And then the money.
I kept saving it. And then, even with the coffee shop, now everything is like a menu, but all the English words are foreign to me. Even on the subway and on the bus, since it's all in a foreign language, people memorize all the menu boards.
Since it's there, underground.
It's amazing to see people holding menu boards on the bus.
They keep staring, but
But those people could have done that, but they remained silent.
like this, I tried my best.
But then my boss suddenly called me over and said, "You look so pretty when you smile."
So I opened.
So in the middle, I also started getting calls from Cheongso-sonim.
So at that time,
I lived in Hyunchun back then. I used the 50,000 won bills I saved to buy necessities, contribute to the household, and occasionally purchase snacks. The money was really helpful at that time.
So, as I was learning various things, I heard that I could go to college with my singing.
It's not like I was able to go to college that easily. Well, I did a lot of different part-time jobs, and besides that, I tried a lot of different things. Really, I did a lot. And then now...
Then I ended up working in the media industry.
Is that so? But when I look back, I realize that I just did a lot of different things. So I ended up doing a lot of part-time jobs. It wasn't a regular job, and I didn't study, so I could only do part-time work.
there was nothing else. Hotel.
I even did part-time jobs.
Matt, you need to.
Didang 입고.
Hotel.
I tried Alba, I tried convenience stores, I tried everything, but I just couldn't do Alba.
Time limit. So,
I am this.
studying at this place.
I don't have to do it, but I can. I don't have a clear answer, but I keep looking for the answer in my heart.
I kept working part-time. And then,
Meanwhile, a singer named Kim Koo was performing on a Christian radio station similar to where I worked.
that's what she said. Park Yeon me, please.
Park Yeon-mi and I previously attended the same church, but no longer do.
She was very famous.
She was really famous, so Yeon-mi was introduced and appeared on television a lot, and that's how it was.
It could happen. I was like that too.
But now I'm used to it, the celebrities too.
They come out too.
So that's why I went and tried modeling for a while, and then I kept getting calls, and since broadcasting was easier, I started working more in that field. Then I realized that maybe my path wasn't just about being tall, but that I could do something more with it.
So even more.
So I started to really want to become a professional, and with that in mind, I began to study and think about it more seriously. Back then, I started to look into NGOs, especially those that help North Korean defectors, like international NGOs and Liberty in North Korea. So in the United States, there are international organizations that help North Korean defectors, and then when they connect, they also do some activities together. Then I went to the United States and attended a few prayer meetings, and after that I started to share at those meetings in the United States, and then more opportunities came up.
And then I studied abroad.
I even received an offer to study abroad. I was even promised that all my life as a student in the United States would be taken care of. But at that time, even though it was such a great opportunity, I turned down that opportunity and came back to Korea. Why? Because Korea was just too comfortable for me. When I visited the United States, people would ask where I was from. I'd say, I'm from Korea. They'd ask, where is that? Is it North Korea? Korea wasn't well known at the time.
Nurse Korea.
They would ask if it was South Korea. So at that time, I would answer, no, I'm originally from North Korea, but now I live in South Korea. But when I said that, because of my accent, it was obvious that I was Korean, but I didn't have the North Korean accent that people usually expect. I received no education in South Korea and lacked a sense of belonging.
Just body.
Just body.
Just Korean.
My identity, I don't have a deep sense of identity.
That's right, so
Back then, I felt unsure of my identity, and Korea seemed alien to me. So I thought if I get better at English and work hard, maybe I can live here and be successful, but I knew I would have to go back eventually.
So I decided I should go back and try to do something in Korea.
In the meantime, I thought I should come back and try to do something globally again. So I quit my job, packed my things, and came back here. After coming back, I applied to Korea University, and actually, I applied to several other universities as well. Korea University.
I thought it was too hard, so I hesitated.
There were also schools that I applied to but didn't get into.
I tried, but at that time.
At that time, Eom-chung, who graduated from Harvard University, was a famous celebrity, and the reason I studied was because of her.
It was like a mentor to me.
Yang Chan-young.
You punk.
My mother constantly encouraged me to persevere through hardships. She provided me with an abundance of love and support.
Because I received it, that's why.
I challenged myself to go to college because of Sky, but I ended up going to Korea University.
But
By myself, I can't deliver the meals.
If I go alone, they're all kids.
they're all older than me.
So they would help me, hold my hand and guide me. I received a lot of help from them with things like that. But
it's easy to say, but in reality, it's not that simple. It's really hard to get in, and even getting in is difficult. But inside the school,
It's hard to live as a student there.
that's right. Yes, that's how close our relationship is, as if we're family.
Now go.
I think it's really hard. And then living in that society, in that school, I think it must have been really hard to adapt to that social life and to the school like that. But those things were the hardest.
first of all, trying to fit in and do things well was the hardest part. At first, I tried really hard, but despite my efforts, it just didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
In my case, since I was an international student, I had to give up on university. When I saw that I was accepted to university, I gave up on it and made a decision, but I still made that decision.
But now,
I heard the news that I was accepted to university. So at that time, I was just so happy and excited. But on the first day, I attended classes while wiping away my tears.
Because it felt so unfamiliar.
The study, it was just too...
because I was happy, it felt like a dream.
a place where I depended on tears with my heart beating too loudly.
That's right. As I was pounding,
I said I was sitting in the high school and studying. Seoregajigo, the person who has to be in charge at the market, is Gyoregajigo. On the first day when I entered the university, Seonseng-nim spoke like this in the first class. He said, "Now, from here, you are leaving your hometown and starting a new chapter." I remember that first class very well.
Yes, why not?
I couldn't do that. It was a very old classroom.
So the teacher,
When told to write in a foreign language, I did so. My name is Park Dongira.
that's right. And then
And in English, I wrote heartbeat. So I have to explain that. So right now, my heart doesn't make that sound.
my heart,
Inside Park Dong-seori's chest,
I can hear it. Then
I wanted to confess, but now with my heart pounding like this, with everything coming in like this moment feels like a confession.
if it ends like this,
At the end, I wondered how I could comfort myself, who had stopped studying at that time. All the kids who said they were better than me came together. So from then on, I learned everything from scratch, and I relied on my teachers a lot.
I'm an actor, but here,
I also learn a lot from the students here. That mindset is crucial.
with such a great mindset,
So even though I may not be the best or the fastest,
I just think that way.
since that's how it is and I'm trying to adjust, it's actually easy for me to smile. And since there's students who are interested, I can teach them while communicating like this. So during that really precious and short time,
that kind of positive mindset is really great. Even though I learned from Miss Mulran, I felt like I was learning from everyone.
Lee Jace?
It's really hard to keep this attitude, this mindset, but basically I have to keep it straight.
that's what it's like. There's nothing more than that because I don't know anything else.
Even just a little bit, wherever it is.
If you have a professional side in any way, or if you're good at something, it would be nice to do well, but I don't have anything I'm particularly good at. And yet,
At the North Market, I thought I was doing well.
but
That's not the case. Then, in the deepest part of your memory, do you think there are people who helped you like that? At university,
at university, in my social life, and even now at university, there are seniors who helped me back then, and I still keep in touch with them.
I'm grateful when I see them.
I'm always thankful. It's wonderful, and I plan to remain grateful going forward.
that promise,
If your heart isn't in it, even if you say thank you out of habit, how can people have a heart that truly feels grateful? That's right, it comes from within yourself, your own
time and such,
characteristics.
invest and offer.
It's not just about money, but I put my heart into it, so it remains as a memory in my life. That's how it is. So I can't do it either. That's why I helped.
That's why
So I have to cheer you up.
I think that's what I have to do.
Then, even now, while I'm attending college,
Easily. I also studied abroad at a university for 2 years.
Because I also have a child.
It's the end of the semester, so I'm gonna keep doing this until then. The end of the semester schedule.
I'm so grateful and happy, but still,
Even though it's hard, I'm trying to endure it.
but when you go to school, it's not just about going to school. You have to raise a child and do many other things.
There are so many things. The child,
When I was raising a child, I spent a lot of time and energy on my child, so it was really hard.
Of course, I think it was much harder physically back then.
Exercising and all.
Physically, I was fine, but emotionally, I missed my parents a lot. My parents think that I'm doing well in such a nice environment, but in reality, in the worst situations,
raising the three of us,
they raised us. That gratitude
keeps growing.
became my strength. Ah, right. And actually, raising a baby, I'm sure there are easier babies out there, but it wasn't easy. Bokji is doing well, but the cost of powdered milk, diapers, and baby wipes is substantial, as evidenced by the receipts.
If you come out and apply,
Not a specimen test, but an acquired immune deficiency syndrome test card.
so you go to the hospital with that. The baby,
After giving birth, you get about 340,000 won a month for not sending your child to daycare. But now that's not enough anymore. And if you put your baby in daycare, you get a lot of benefits, so that money goes directly to the daycare instead.
It just goes there, that's all?
The government provides an additional 100,000 won in support, which adds to the total amount you receive.
So, I can't compare it to North Korea. I can't compare it.
I can't.
In some ways, it's really hard to compare.
there's nothing to compare.
If you do it, it won't work. Yes, if you do it, it won't work. Because Jung-hee was like that. I heard that now I'm living another good day, but I'm actually living another day right now. Since Gung Jang-soon was young, she raised her children, sent them to college, and did good things, so she should be praised. I think I have a lot to learn. Just by looking at her.
Don't just judge by appearances. This was precious to me. It's good to do something like work too.
I prepared for it as a hobby.
I did.
So
Right now, I haven't been able to pursue my dream, but
재언연진주.
as the main one, young women who want to look pretty or those who need economic independence,
Those kinds of women.
if they learn skills and work in a small workshop,
While raising a baby.
they can make these kinds of products and sell them.
Holding on to that context socially.
Even though I didn't receive business recognition, I wanted to create value as a social enterprise.
And carry on with that value.
I tried to start a business with that mindset,
But I gave up.
it was good to do it, but I tried it a little more realistically. But there were a lot of limitations, and the main menus.
At that time, prima class,
But if I go, I can sell more too.
I did, but for me,
It was a good experience.
that's right, really.
As a Buddhist monk and as a contract worker, I realized that the kind of mindset that survives is not the mainstream society, but rather the mindset of self-reliance, of creating your own market economy.
There is something like that.
It was a good experience that gave me confidence. Right now, that business isn't giving up, but rather, by embracing it, I think the business will gradually expand.
So, cooperative association.
On the other hand, I'm preparing right now, but I'm gathering a lot of good hobbies from now on. So when I looked around, I saw that 90% of Bhutan's businesses were already operating as cooperatives. In Bhutan, they called it a cooperative farm, not a cooperative association, but a cooperative farm. That's how they were running things. But Bhutan has a planned socialist economy.
It's under that.
Because they are cooperative farms, people don't work individually for their own profit.
That's why.
So those things are inefficient, and that's why they introduced the cooperative system into the market economy.
Money.
If you look at the world, you might wonder,
That's how I felt.
so that people can have hope?
There are a lot. If we work together.
Socialism.
Sorry, the interpreter. Please provide valid subtitle translation.
The people on that side actively tried to enter the market economy of capitalism, but they tried to do so in a way that was faithful to socialism.
If I get ready in the meantime,
Even when reunification happens, over 90% of North Korea's cooperative farms
protect their concept.
can be directly maintained as a market economy unit.
I wonder if that's not the case.
We are watching the situation, but for now we are observing from that side and trying to prepare well from here. So those who are in charge of this are doing a good job and preparing.
I do a lot of interviews, and I've survived by doing interviews. Now that I hear about Chaeyang's story, I think it's important to live honestly, raise your children with all your heart, study hard, and try to do what you imagined. I feel like that's the direction I'm heading in. Even though I'm doing those things, if there's something else I want to do, I want to try it too.
If I want to do it.
Or if I have a dream like that, is it okay to have those kinds of things?
Do I have a lot of things I want to do? Of course.
People are more.
I try to be more organized and try to have more leeway, but that's how I end up living. So hobbies and things like that, I try to make time for them and do them diligently, but I still want to keep drawing and painting. I keep living my life by letting go of things that are too much for me and only holding on to what I can handle. I studied abroad and came back, but for me it's more about what's inside me, the foundation I have in my heart.
Those kinds of things.
Different.
And then crumble.
Now I want to be active. So I think I became a successful entrepreneur.
This is my
I'm not talking about myself, but rather what I pursue.
values and beliefs.
Not what I pursue, but the values that many people truly want.
Donso. That's
The synergy that enables global expansion is real.
That's right. It's good.
That's right. It's good when values are aligned and people cooperate well. That's why there are so many successful cases like that in Korea too.
people in Seoul.
Things like mutual aid are not just about cooperation. Besides that, there are many businesses that have already become global, but right now, from an industrial perspective, becoming global is...
That kind of dream.
I have dreams and goals. I used to push myself harder in the past, which kept me tense and on edge.
Now I'm just relaxed. If I want to.
To make it happen, I need to put my heart and soul into it. Otherwise, it won't work out. That's what I believe.
If I really want to achieve it, I have to risk my life for it.
I haven't actually risked my life, but that's how it honestly feels.
That's right, I did succeed just with that, but it's not like I actually risked my life or anything. But our Jonghyung's house is so nice that it could be used as a set. And now I think you'll become a big help to our single-person society, and if so,
That would be great. Really,
that's the goal. Hyunjae, when I look ahead, if I get to go further, I feel like the people on the other side of that difficult mountain,
to resolve that,
I think that will be the biggest challenge. Yes.
that's right, and I want to do that.
So even in the Jeju region, we will support the dreams of our youth and work together so we can move forward together.
Today, right away.
Thank you for making time.
For the interview,
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful time. Hello.
to Jonghi channel.
Since this is your first greeting, please introduce yourself. Hello. I am Jang Nara, who has been living in Korea for 2 years as a regular resident. My channel name is Jang Nara Television, and I introduced myself as Jang Nara.
Ah, yes.
No, but it's been about 2 years since I came to Korea. Yes, I came here recently. So, where are you originally from? Yangon Province, Hyesan, Yangon Province.
Hesan, right?
Many people from Hyesan came here.
Yes, a lot of them came.
That's right, from Hyesan. So they usually work somewhere else and then suddenly...
They defect over there.
my family just lived by the Amnok River. We stayed there and we survived by fishing in the Amnok River.
We survived by fishing and living off the river.
All right, how did you live off the river? If so, it's just like that. In China, they say sadri is a delicacy, but for us, it's just something we eat. That's all. In China, if you do that, the things...
Because it was cheap, that's why.
The story that we sold it like this in North Korea. No, not in North Korea. We sold it in China. In North Korea, in China.
We sold it.
We mainly sold things like fish. From anchovies to shrimp, starting with anchovies, all the way to shrimp. But the job wasn't fishing, there were other jobs as well. The job was a kindergarten teacher. Yes, a kindergarten teacher.
She was a teacher, yes.
A kindergarten teacher.
A kindergarten teacher who teaches children
Even among teachers,
like this as a profession.
there's no way to survive without smuggling. That's right.
Then Lee-Cherun.
As a teacher, I had to resign. Yes, I resigned. So, in North Korea, Saturdays are not.
So in South Korea,
In South Korea, people rest on Saturdays, but in North Korea, people work 6 days a week with only Sundays off.
you work and go to work.
On Sundays, you rest. So, on Sundays, when you rest, you do laundry. And because of that, laundry became something you had to do on Sundays. So at 4 o'clock, students and kindergarteners,
At 4 o'clock without exception?
it's time for them to go home. So when the kids come at 4 o'clock, I prepare snacks for them.
More from China?
I call to bang.
Hang up on Angro-Kang.
That's right. I think I lived really hard so that I could become like this. So
By the river, Byul-soo says.
I couldn't sleep because of that. And
Because of that, at night.
when you raise kids, there are times when you have to make choices like this. Sometimes you have to make decisions in difficult situations.
Kindergarten.
So usually when I teach something, I'm a kindergarten teacher, but honestly, I'm not very good at it. When I'm teaching, I just go along with whatever comes up. We teach manners, how to greet people, and basic etiquette from the very beginning.
And so on.
Rather than letters, it's more about these kinds of movements, just simple 4-beat rhythm. The great leader Kim Il-sung, when he appeared in the Mangyongdae Old House, if the elders came from somewhere, the old house would just be filled with children.
Sijeon, Yoo-ji-won.
At that time, he just followed the childhood days of the great leaders.
It's there. Explanation.
Even when you look at it, children tend to recognize things as songs, so they imitate the movements and then eat it like that.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, if you're a kindergarten teacher, you have to eat and live, but you have a lot of thoughts about how to make it fun and easy for the kids. Eating and living is just part of being a kindergarten teacher. So when you meet a good kindergarten teacher, you just want to join the activities.
When I was a child,
I just liked those times, but during those times as a teacher, I didn't get any gifts or anything special. Back then, we would just have sports competitions or something like that.
There were many similar instances. Teachers, Yonseng-nim.
Byuntae, Sunseengnim, Gulyo, that's how we did it. And then saying that you should raise kids, that's something I heard a lot too. If you don't speak well at the daycare center, when the kids go home, their mothers all say the same thing.
that's how it happened.
So when it comes to teaching, especially in a strict environment, if you hear something, you have to be really careful about how you say it.
How did you do it?
I just listened quietly when I was told to, and I just spoke the standard language when I was supposed to. I didn't say anything out of the ordinary. Yang Yang's words are also very gentle.
Seja, you know.
When I speak in front of people, I say things like this, but Yang Yang says things so softly like this.
Even Yangang is gentle.
In North Korea, they usually talk to children over there.
A little bit like this.
Compared to us, there are a lot more differences. There are more differences. In the past, even if you couldn't speak English well, you could still get by in Asia. You could get by.
Asia University.
Oh, and kids these days, they're not really kids anymore.
이 엄청 여의도.
That's why they're so...
They stand out. But
when I was in North Korea, I was told to become a kindergarten teacher, so I went there. Then I was told to go live in the countryside, so I went there. Then I was told to come back here, so I came back. They told me to be a kindergarten teacher again, but I was dying, honestly.
I don't think I can do it that way either.
I can't do it either. Someone who used to teach in North Korea is teaching here again, and I don't think I can do it for a while.
In someone's dream.
Because it's a habit in my body.
A little more.
There is. The reason why I passed the driver's license test is also because of this.
Because there isn't just a little...
Later, that kind of job.
Even if I do it.
I think it's okay. But I don't have any thoughts like that.
When I sing with the kids...
Even if they don't listen well, I used to be like that when I was in school, so I try not to get too upset and just let it go.
That's what happened. Jongari.
It's the same. When hit, it's usually on the calves.
Like a cane?
It's something you experience in life. And then, if you treat your kids like they're objects and things don't go well, you'll end up feeling isolated, devastated, and just like this.
Even the words they use are harsh.
It's already really tough.
If you listen to it like that...
They laugh a lot. If you keep doing that, how did you end up getting scolded? Before I defected, there were a lot of brokers around me. And there were also a lot of brokers in Eomseon. But in Dongnai, there were so many brokers that even on a small street, there were just too many. But all my friends ended up going to China.
Right away.
So did you come to Korea or did you live in China for a while?
In China.
I lived there for 4 years. Yes, 4 or 5 years I lived in China. So that's how my days went. I lived in China and spent my days there. But I didn't just wander around aimlessly like others. I didn't do that. I just worked hard. How was I able to work so hard like that? I, from my life, have always tried to choose the best path for myself, thinking about what would be best for me in every situation.
That was the thing I was most proud of.
It's something really important to me.
So for me,
when I came to China, my friends helped me a lot.
So I felt comfortable.
So I was able to adapt quickly and make Chinese friends. Since I was able to adapt quickly in China, I mostly felt at ease. So when I go to China after hearing rumors in our country, I feel completely at ease.
Because I didn't know the language.
Before I was sold, I heard many similar stories. For a month prior, I worried constantly about how I would survive in China, where I would end up, and if I would be sold elsewhere. My mind was filled with these thoughts, but I really didn't want to accept that situation. So I called my friend. After I called her and told her about my situation, I felt a little relieved, but at the same time, I was still so scared that I couldn't sleep at all that night.
I was able to avoid being sold for marriage.
Kumbang, I couldn't do it right away.
I don't even know Chinese.
I studied hard for about 3 months while listening to Chinese tapes.
That's why.
I didn't start right away. So the English used in that context is expressed like a sentence, but 그리라던 reads China.
Well,
in that expression, I stand out more than the others, really.
But still.
First of all, if I go to China, I must survive.
So.
I needed to know Chinese to survive, so I studied really hard. Given the circumstances, that's the outcome. But when I came to Korea, I tried to adapt to the culture and learn foreign languages, but my basic mindset had already changed.
Because I was already tense.
It doesn't work that way.
I was trying to do nothing.
Even when I tried, when I was in a really bad mood, I would burst out laughing, but is there a reason why laughter comes out in sad situations? I was just myself, and I lived with that mindset. But now, I have a job, I live a social life, and I've moved several times. So when I go to Roma, I try to follow the Roman way. If I want to live here, I have to adapt to the culture.
Okay, I will.
By the way, when I was working, I used to sell things, and if I spoke in dialect, customers would see me differently. So if I want to live here as a real local and be accepted, I have to try my best to fit in as a local. If I don't, I'll just end up staying here without really belonging, and I won't be able to grow. That's why I try really hard at work too.
That sound.
When I speak up or sell something, my voice is timid. I wonder if the person will listen to me, and I get nervous. I try to look confident in front of customers despite my timid words.
And that's what happens. That's how it is.
When I try to sell something, I lose my confidence.
I just hold on and do it like that.
If you could explain the product or the story behind it in detail, oh, this is how you sell it first, the story itself.
The feeling of confidence in yourself.
I think that's what it is.
That's right. But
If you had a runny nose 2 years ago, it could have been the start of Corona, or maybe even before it started. I was protected by the government, so until I came here, I didn't know about Corona.
it was before.
After I came out of Hanwha, I stayed for 6 months, and then in June 2019,
After I came out for 6 months.
and then you settled down. How was it back then? How did you come to think about leaving China and coming to Korea? When you live alone in China for a long time, you end up living very independently, so you get used to doing everything by yourself. I think that's why I became a bit wary of people and cautious. Living alone in China, I realized that if I wanted to live safely and securely, I needed to be alert and careful.
So
So after 2 years, I worked hard to save up money, and as soon as I had enough, I immediately went and got my identification card. That's right, yes. But people are like that, so depending on the situation, people can change, but the important thing is, as long as you have your identification, even if you have nothing else, it feels like you can live in this world with confidence.
that's how it felt. I felt safe.
But as long as I have my identification in my hand, the moment I lose it, for about 2 years, the anxiety and worry I feel is just overwhelming.
Yeah, here.
If you lose it somewhere else, you might be able to get it back. But here, since you can just move around freely, if you lose it here, for 2 years, I lived without making money, barely surviving. I was deeply grateful to the people who helped me and thankful for even the smallest things I received. It was really touching. Now that I've finally received this, my heart feels lighter and more at ease. As soon as I received my identification, I really wanted to get on a plane, so I got on a plane. I just wanted to go somewhere, so I got on a plane and went to Jeju Island, and after getting off the plane at Jeju Airport, I walked out to the parking lot.
And then from Changbek.
When I came back, I took a train and came back. If you glorify China and say it's good, then our Korea is nothing, so I didn't even open my mouth.
That's right. KTX.
When you ride, you just need your ticket and that's it. But in China, the identification process is really too much.
Yeah, the identification process.
Even when you go inside like this, you have to scan your face at the machine, and you have to show your identification everywhere. If your face scan doesn't work, you can't get through. If you can't communicate properly with the machine in the car, you can't get through. So if you want to survive here, you need to have your identification ready. If you do well, you can save up money for 2 years, but you have to be safe first.
I have to endure it, but
I got my identification and now I'm free, so I can come and go as I please. That's why I was able to see the drama like this in China.
Korean drama?
When you watch it, not everyone becomes a drama character, but there are people who envy others like that. And since it's Korea, maybe that's why.
This kind of thought
Came to me.
But then
Even after hearing the news, I still prefer living in England over China.
I just didn't want to, really.
Even though I have a Chinese identification, if I want to make a change there, I have to learn things globally.
I have to, even in China.
Even if I say I do this and that, if I just sit in front of a PC, I still have to learn things like this. So when I go to Korea, I can teach everything without any problem.
So that's why.
So I decided to try living in Korea for a while, and I continued to live there. Before, I had a friend I knew, and I kept living with that friend.
I asked 한국.
When you calculate the East Asian calendar, the minimum is just 1 year in terms of language, and 1 year is shorter in time.
Thinking about it in Korea.
I have to come back. For a year, I worked in China, and even though I worked every day and earned a decent amount of money, I couldn't save any money during that time. When I looked at that life, I realized that as a government official, I could only stay in Thailand for just 1 month.
After enduring it, I came to Korea.
I barely managed to endure it, but then
I had to start all over again. My secret.
I have to go to Korea by plane.
I think I will.
I searched for flight schedules on the internet. I was planning a trip to Jeju Island, but starting from the hotel, just the sightseeing expenses for 3 days, plus meals, would cost about 12,000 won in Chinese money. Even if you just buy a plane ticket, you don't have much money left. Personally, I didn't really spend much, but at that time, it didn't even cost 12,000 yuan, and rather than that, I tried to save up and give it to my family. But if you want to save up that much, it would take about a year, and just one plane ticket would use up all the money I saved.
There wasn't any left. First of all,
After a hard day's work, the value of money seemed insignificant.
so I wrote down my expenses.
If it's today, then for today, how many flights are there to Akita tomorrow?
Akihashi flight.
I have a lot to do, but that day I really can't go.
In the night.
I usually fall asleep as soon as I lie down, but I was so nervous and kept listening to the sound of gandarana in Korean, and with that sound in my heart, I finally managed to fall asleep around 7 in the morning. I have to relax for 2 hours.
Alright,
When I first started flying, I
was getting my plane ticket.
But the security check at the airport was so strict.
It took me an hour
just to get through. When I was flying from Korea from China, or when I was on a flight from China, and then when I arrived in Tokyo and got to the airport,
I went out just like that.
so I could relax at the airport.
So I arrived there.
I got on the plane and went straight to Quebec. When I got to Quebec, it was snowing again, and there was snow above me.
And there were people running and flying everywhere.
Naidushin Halabeoji was there with me.
He was riding a flying machine.
And then another woman came out from behind and stood in the yard.
That woman
She was wearing a raincoat and didn't come in.
at the wedding hall. So,
The people who had identification gathered, but the people who had identification came, and these people were all Cell family members.
someone else's.
They escaped by hiding their identity.
That's right, over there.
If you take a plane, you can't come like that.
That way, over there.
Grandpa Hal is like that, so take a plane.
Right side, this way.
Ajuma, that's her own.
Dong Seor gave her kidney.
And brought her identification card. I drove all the way from Jiangbek in China to here, so it took a really long time, and I was really tired. I was a high school student. I found out that you are a Korean descendant. At first, the language sounded strange to me.
In my neighborhood.
I heard that in Korea, even though it's a different country. The language sounds similar to ours. When I was in North Korea, people around me used to say that their language is similar to ours.
That's what I heard. In North Korea.
Here we call South Korea, but in North Korea it's called Joseon.
That's right.
They call it Joseon because it's on the Joseon side.
People like us too.
That's what I thought, but when I watched television, the language was
Completely. At first.
When you speak, you sound so Japanese. Your accent is just like theirs, but your words are Korean, so I get confused. I think I'll get used to it.
But then.
Wife is from Mongolia, but her husband is Korean. So I asked, what is Korea? And she said, I don't really know.
She said her husband's name is Nam Joseon.
Ah, so that's Nam Joseon, since we don't know. If I just look at the map on my phone, it's that map.
It's all mixed up.
If you look at this from here, this is the south side.
If you go over here in this area.
Coming out.
Drama.
So,
I knew it. And then
you can't live by being stubborn, but yogi lives well, they say. So they say South Korea is Korea?
That's mostly correct.
I do a lot of interviews, and when I meet a lot of North Koreans like this, they don't call it Korea. There are actually a lot of people who don't know that Korea is South Korea. Even in my case, I only learned that Korea is called South Joseon because I was in China, but most people actually don't know that.
Yes, that's right.
So how did you manage to escape to Korea? How did you escape? After coming to Korean society, I realized that I had survived both in China and North Korea. In China, I survived by raising children at home, and in North Korea, I survived not just by living, but by working and making money to get by. I was able to live my life in society even though it was tough. But when I came to Korea, I found it a bit overwhelming and difficult to adjust to social life here. I was a little flustered and nervous, and I think there were a lot of things that were unfamiliar to me. When I came to Korea, what surprised me was that people here did things that I couldn't even imagine doing when I was in China.
Riding the subway felt amazing.
It's just that when you ride the subway, people are just standing there quietly, and that was really surprising to me.
It was fascinating. Like that.
It didn't turn out well.
It was like that, but in North Korea,
I had a negative view of it all. Since it was Namjoseon, I assumed it was a self-centered society. When I listened to it, even the destination, wherever it was, people would line up all the way to the front, and there were times when they would fight, and I thought, is this really a world where people live together?
even that was better than the North.
It was more like a real world, and I was so shocked by how different it was. And what was surprising was when I said something simple, people would just listen. There were a lot of things that were hard for me too. Charari Bukan, I went to South Korea directly from China without going through North Korea, so everything was completely unfamiliar to me. Everything was completely unfamiliar, and I did things differently. So people would say Korea is so unfamiliar, and that's how it was.
I couldn't do it. China.
Since I didn't live there, China also felt unfamiliar to me. Since I lived in the city, everything felt so unfamiliar and awkward.
That's how it was, but
But more than that, since I came here and started living here, at first, even though I was using the same language, the way people spoke
was different, yes?
For example, in Chinese, you can just say things directly and it works, but here, when I tried to speak in a straightforward way, the blunt words I used, the way I spoke, since it was in a Korean style, it was just too
Hard. And so,
in North Korea, women, especially North Korean women, are expected to be submissive. It's the norm in the country.
like that,
When you see
old historical figures
revolutionaries,
all gathered togetger.
something like Aeom Chong's will
염종세란
consistently applying willpower in daily life reveals a great deal. This holds true even in China.
진진청청하게.
I lived with a really strong spirit and will, but when I came here, I realized that living like that is hard for me.
And
I realized I couldn't continue like that. I must learn, adapt, and live by learning and adapting. Even so, after 2 years, I still have a lot to learn.
that's right.
But even if I don't like it, if that's how my life is, I have to learn to do things I don't like, even if I hate it. If you just work hard and do your best here, you can do it right. And if I work hard, I like that everything gets accomplished. And if I work hard, the results
Will come. So the results.
over time, I get to see those results for myself, so I really like that. At first, I set a goal and worked hard to achieve it, but in China, there wasn't really a goal. I was just making money.
I just worked only for the money.
I just worked for the money. I wasn't running with a purpose or a dream. My mindset, my self-esteem, my personality, all of that changed. I couldn't keep my integrity, and I lost the nourishment from my heart. My tone, way of speaking, and personality changed when I talked to Hanmari, but nothing else. Here, I manage my time efficiently. If I need to memorize, act, or know something, I simply do it. But the things I don't know, I simply don't know.
자존심 이랑 이엄청.
If I lower my pride, there are a lot of things I can do.
That's how a lot of things change.
Korea has gotten a lot better in just 2 years. It's so pretty to see you working so hard to learn and teach so many things.
Right now,
Living in Korea right now, I'm satisfied with my life, and I think I'm satisfied with my current situation. Which part are you most satisfied with? It's the affordable cost of living. The affordability is what I like.
and I get paid regularly.
And then when I went back to graduate school, I realized it was the national pension.
That's right.
I also applied for that.
I also applied for that.
I received it. I also thought it was public money coming in, but it turns out it wasn't public money. It was actually the result of my own efforts in society, and that's how it was. There is that small happiness. So, living in Korea, there are things like that. Is there anything else you want to try or see, or anything else you want to do? Well, I want to have my own store someday, and I want to have a bakery. Well, just beauty. I wanted to be a makeup artist, so that's how I got into this field.
Bang Young-gu, I want to be an actor like him.
Now I want to graduate from Kangho Academy and learn those things. Right now, Kangho Academy.
I'm attending right now.
Then I study and also participate in church activities. But now, because of the coronavirus, it's a very difficult time, really.
There aren't even any jobs.
But still,
I spend my time.
because it's so easy to use and eat with Corona, I got really into it online. I have 2 hand phones.
I have them, 5 of them.
I got 2 of them. So I do it like this. I put one on the bottom and the other one on top as an insert and insert.
Listening to the lecture.
You know, because of Corona, I couldn't go to school. So the good thing about that was, well, that's how it was. Somehow,
If you look at it.
I couldn't go to the academy, so I was able to take lectures at home because of Corona.
So how?
It feels like an opportunity.
So now.
I'm gonna go.
But still.
But as a woman, I don't think I should be the main character.
That's how I think about it. So
I want to keep defending the accused until the end, even if everyone is against them. That's why legally the defense attorney can be on the defendant's side.
No injections?
They can't give injections, but if they do it as a nurse's assistant, it's illegal, and if they do it as a health worker, it's also illegal. Even if I don't do it as a job, it's good to learn these things for our daily life, like emergency situations or cardiopulmonary resuscitation. But still, Cham,
it's nice.
now I want to live simply, using only what I need and keeping only the things that truly belong to me. When I do hairdressing, I want to listen carefully and make it affordable. When I look at myself in the mirror, I want it to be affordable. I want to make it a place where people can relax and feel comfortable.
It's my first time.
My heart is pounding, but now it's a little calmer. If I didn't have the time to struggle, I wouldn't have matured like this. That's what I truly realized. If I become a pianist, it doesn't mean I'll suddenly make a lot of money.
In this world, that's why.
If I want to live my life properly, I should let go of unnecessary worries and just move forward step by step, doing what I can. That will become my strength.
Right now,
I put everything down and I'm just focusing on what I'm doing right now. No, but when I heard you say that, I remembered when I first did a Korean interview, I thought, oh, I guess I have to bluff a lot.
That's what I thought, but no, it wasn't like that.
I don't think that's it either. The way you speak is already so natural, there's nothing that needs to be fixed all at once, really.
If you take your time.
With continued practice and repetition, saying your name will become natural.
I'm the same way.
Since I overcame that, since I was a poor student and a poor Korean, I thought I should do my best in Korea like this. There was nothing more I needed.
That's what it felt like. But there are still so many things I need to learn, and yet...
Right now I feel like I'm doing really well, so when I watch from the sidelines, I feel proud as if it's my own achievement. That's why I want to cheer you on and support you. I'm so grateful to have had this chance to do an interview like this today. I'm really thankful that I got to meet you.
I'm happy.
Yes, thank you.
Away.
Interlude. Let's move forward together, like the wind blowing through the fields. Yes, and if you watch the video carefully, you'll love subscribing and liking, so please press them. Thank you for watching. Thank you.